Welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is, we're assuming this is pronounced Snaga. To the best of our abilities, these don't seem to be real words. So there's some fantasy stuff that was, I guess, churned up for this game. I couldn't tell you what Snaga is in a reference to, what it is. If it's the orc warrior you're playing as, if it's the land you're fighting through, or just the kingdom, like the castle. It could be any of that. Don't know. It's one of the things that the developers would have to tell us. Anyway, Snaga is a first-person melee brawler, where the players act as the last orc left from their tribe, taking revenge on the evil humans. I guess evil is relative here because, orcs tend to be always chaotic evil.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's been a topic of fierce debate, believe it or not. It has a lot to do with the whole racial connotations of where orcs came from, but, we're not going to get into Dungeons and Dragons politics. Here, you're an orc, you fight humans, and that is the core of the game here. It is a first-person melee affair, which you don't see all that often. And your moveset's fairly limited. You've got your attack, which is a wind-up attack. It's not just, there's no jab, there's no quick attack. You have to basically get into position and then strike, which takes some time. And that would theoretically be a part of the combat strategy here, but, well, I'll get into the imbalance in a bit. On the other hand, you've got the block. No shields in the game. Just, whatever weapon you're holding will assume a defensive posture, and, it'll block hits, to a extent. It's not 100% shield in you from the front. But once again, it would be presumably part of the combat strategy, but I suppose I'll get to the thing that breaks everything, and it's the kick. You have a, that is, if anything, your quick attack. You have a kick, and it's fucking overpowered. I dare say it breaks the game because it's really easy to use. It can knock out multiple people, and it doesn't kill them unless they're thrown into a bed of spikes or water, some kind of environmental hazard like that. But it's pretty powerful, and it's pretty easy to use. It's not 100%. You do have to use a modicum of strategy, because there were times when, I kicked a little too early and then stopped short. But 9 times out of 10, not going to lie, I was able to take care of things with the kick. Although the specific problem I had with the kick is, this is a game that doesn't allow you to rebind keys. That's an automatic docking of any sort of recommendation when it comes to, especially games on the PC, because there's no reason why I can't reshift keys. And it's a problem because I've mentioned this before. I'm left-handed, and, I use, for first-person stuff, I use the arrow keys, not WASD, because that is really cramping for my hands, because it's inward, not outward. It's the reason why WASD got popular in the first place. It works well with the right-handed mouse and keyboard configuration. My point is, the kick is bound to the E key, and you can't change that. So I'd have to kind of switch, and it wasn't elegant. Like I said, if the kick wasn't so overpowered, it would probably have been a bigger problem, honestly. In functionality for me. Let's see. you can also throw your weapon, which does give you the advantage of having a ranged attack, your only ranged attack. But if you miss or they block, you you don't have a weapon. You still have the kick though. And finally, there's the jump, which is almost useless. I'd say it's only useful in like one arena where the whole city is flooded, and it's a bit precarious. Also, you can use a jumping slash, which I never used. And yeah, that's about the extent of your moveset. Your enemies are similarly limited. They're all soldiers. And since, I will give credit to this game for having some sort of, this is an unusual word to use, but accurate orc to human size ratio. Like you tower over your opponents. It feels like you're fighting, say, dwarves rather than humans versus if you were like, a normal-sized human versus a dwarf, that kind of thing. Like the humans are pretty small. And it's not that much of a combat differential, but it is something to theoretically to take into account. I hope I properly conveyed just how overpowered that kick is. Because it's basically the I win button. Like any sort of strategy and elegance and nuance to the combat, it's really out the window when you can just bulldoze over all your opponents. And let's see, you see different weapons in the game, but honestly, they don't make a huge amount of difference, if at all. Like, they felt like reskins, honestly. And like if there were differences, they're pretty imperceptible. And as far as arenas go, they're like, if I'm remembering correctly, 7. They are not all built the same. Like they are different environments. They'll have different topography. That's actually probably the biggest hazard in the game in regards to you. Like there's one area that's on like not mountains but craggy hills, so you're kind of off balance all the time. Probably the most inspired this game ever got. Like the only really challenging level was the last one where the city's flooded and it's really easy to go into water. Outside of that,
do you just die in water?
Yeah, it's one of those games. But on the upside, you're kicking your opponents into water also kills them. As soon as it makes sense because you look at the amount of armor that everyone's wearing, and it kind of makes sense that they'd sink instead of swim. And after you complete all of the goals, you will unlock different modes. Basically, like you can do all the, you'll do all the arenas again, but instead of killing all the guys, it's killing all the guys in like 3 minutes. It's one of those different shifts to increase replay value. But honestly, by that point, I was done because I'd seen all that the game had to offer. Literally, it was just shuffling the deck chairs around. And yeah, if I could boil down this game to a single word, it's limited. Like what's there is mostly fine. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the inability to rebind the keys, but I really think they needed to nerf that kick because it just makes everything kind of a cakewalk. Like, because the bullet points here on the PR is seamless actions allow the player to chain their moves fluently and perform like a skilled orc warrior. You don't need to do that when you can kick everyone and just slit their throats. In terms of the graphics, I'd imagine some people will have issues with the style here. Like, it does sort of look like maybe an unfinished Unity game. No, that's a deliberate art style. No, it's going for that. It's going for a pretty cartoony thing, and like the actual environments look decent enough. Nothing amazing, but I've seen worse. I've seen a lot worse. The music is a nice Irish jig kind of affair. The problem is it's like the only track in the game, so you're gonna get sick of it sooner rather than later. And let me see. And in terms of pricing, the game is $12, $11.99. There's really not enough here to, and the skill factor is really not enough for me to say that this is worth $12. $5 is probably what I'd go with. So it's kind of waited for a deep sale on that end, but overall, it's better than I thought it would be. In that, just from looking at it, it looked like it was going to be not that good, and it's honestly it ended up a bit below par. Which is actually pretty nice when it comes to the games we review. As sometimes a game looks good but plays really fucking bad. We've encountered those before, and we will encounter them again. Anyway, any additional questions, comments, or concerns?
I don't have any.
All right. So that'll about do it. Yeah. All right. That'll about do it for Snaga here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be talking about Super Sammy Roll.